Hello, and welcome to Operation Opposition, a podcast addressing topics the mainstream media often ignores while promoting free thought. I am your host, Katrin, an anti-human trafficking advocate, and I am both thrilled and grateful that you are here. The White House Correspondent's Dinner was hosted this evening at the Washington Hotel in D.C., an annual black tie event commemorating notable journalistic contributors, as well as celebrating the freedom of the press. Dozens of media outlets have reported shots fired as of 8:36 p.m. Eastern outside of the ballroom in which the dinner was held. President Trump and First Lady Melania were in attendance and promptly evacuated after the shooting. It is reported by Free Press associate and gala attendee Olivia Reingold that security was lighter than usual. She reported via her Instagram that there had only been a bag search, one bomb-sniffing dog, and a metal detector, a far cry from the usually tight security measures that precede a president. News Nation reports that the shooter, identified as African-American male Cole Allen from Torrance, California, was armed with a shotgun, handgun, and multiple knives, and rushed a Secret Service security checkpoint outside. He fired, striking and wounding one Secret Service officer who was saved by his bulletproof vest. Cole Allen is now in custody thanks to law enforcement. We also have confirmation that law enforcement has raided Allen's apartment and that Allen was a guest staying at the hotel. We do not currently have any confirmed evidence of a possible manifesto, however, that could change as the investigation continues. What interests me about this unfortunate and heartbreaking events are some questions I have. California is a state notorious for its gun law controls and regulations. So I am curious as to how Allen managed to get 2 firearms that we know of, as there is a possibility he could have more. I am also curious as to how Allen got the firearms across state lines without any permit and/or license if he drove. If he flew into DC, which currently seems to be the most likely option, we can expect that he had to fill out a firearm declaration form as is required. There is also, of course, a motive. Some news outlets are reporting that Allen is a registered Democrat. I do not believe in itself that would motivate someone to attempt to murder another person. With what I am going to say next, I do not mean to come across as a conspiracy theorist. My intention is not to stir the pot, as they say either. Although law enforcement currently acknowledges that the shooter was a lone shooter, I personally do not think that Allen was working alone. The security measures regarding the event were laughable. It is a long-standing tradition that the president attends the White House Correspondent's Dinner. This is an event that is planned months in advance at minimum, typically at the same venue as well. Secret Service and law enforcement would have the literal building floor plan mapped out. So let's put some pieces together, shall we? Security is light, according to multiple different attendees via social media. The shooter managed to run through a security checkpoint before officers got involved, and the shooter manages to obtain multiple firearms in a heavily regulated state, fly into another heavily regulated area, and manages to slip unnoticed into one of the most surveillanced cities in the world. The odds of that happening out of quote-unquote coincidence are abysmally low. I'm sorry, but based on the evidence we have of past events regarding attempted assassinations of President Trump, I'm not buying the narrative that the shooter was solely alone. We hardly know anything about the Butler, Pennsylvania shooter Thomas Crooks to this day. We do know that CNN chose to air this event as opposed to other campaign rallies. Though CNN has refuted this, I again find the odds stacked against their claim. It makes no sense from a logistical standpoint. Trump's largest rally, and one of his most televised, was in Wildwood, New Jersey in 2024. You would think a major news network would want to report there for views. His most televised rally was in Madison Square Garden in New York, where CNN has a major presence. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, and I'm certain most people with a few ounces of common sense can easily tell something is off. Multiple factors are wrong with what happened in Butler. Multiple factors are wrong with what happened tonight. These narratives aren't adding up. I know that we, as the public, have limited information, especially compared to the FBI, Secret Service, and the CIA. But it doesn't take an expert to call bull either. The odds of a private citizen pulling all of that off by themselves, encountering zero security flags in the nation's capital, especially with recent crackdowns on petty crime and other activities, is utter baloney. I mean, let's really think about this. This next part is hypothetical. If someone were to threaten the president via online, a public proclamation such as on social media, etc., or even in a private Discord chat, law enforcement will show up at your door. That is completely understandable. No one should be making threats like that at all. Okay, so law enforcement can clearly track your account and online activity to a certain capacity. On a similar note, and I'm trying to make a pattern here, the IRS knows when you're 1 penny off your tax filing. They will contact you, and eventually, who knows, they might show up at your door. But no, law enforcement currently knows next to nothing about Alan Cole or Thomas Crook. The government has the power to track your IP address, sell your data to advertisers, know when 1 penny might be missing from your tax filings, but no, don't ask questions about Thomas Crook or perhaps Alan Cole. I hope you're seeing the pattern here. It's lunacy is what it is. It's slapping the everyday, hardworking American citizen in the face and calling them stupid. We're seeing the discrepancies, recognizing patterns, and asking logical questions. And the narrative they give us is somehow worse than the unicorn food craze in 2017. It's such a poorly written script that J.J. Abrams is calling. I stand by my belief, and who knows, I could be wrong, that there is someone, or perhaps a shadowy cabal of multiple people behind Alan Cole. I think the president has a lot of enemies, and that this administration has been playing a grotesque game of assassin. That makes us no better than the enemies we claim to hate. In fact, it makes us eerily similar to them, assuming they are our enemies after all. I hope the media does their due diligence and the FBI as well, because their failings since COVID have been utterly glaring. I commendate and thank law enforcement for all of their hard work that they do. Thank you for listening to today's episode.